Yo.
Time for a chat.
Yeah.
Hello.
He's hitting the gun, alright.
At first when I saw this scene I thought there were 3 people in the cabin, but then I realized what's happening with these talking characters.
Before you start, please listen to me, Devin. I know it's against the captain's rules and all, but some rules are there to be broken.
How does an anarchist feel about this sort of thing? Breaking rules?
I don't know.
I'd go with the first one. See how it plays out.
Does his facial expression reflect his actual
Emotion, yeah.
emotion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not looking too happy, huh?
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Play the people's game.
Devin looks super worried as well, but I guess it's because he's snooping.
Are you willing to explain to me what's wrong? You seem troubled.
I'm fine, don't worry. I wasn't secretly plotting to go on a killing spree tonight, but you never know, I might change my mind.
Ooh. I would be worried at this point. Why bring that up?
so maybe
He even thinks it's funny. Look at his eyes. Like,
Yeah, he looks kind of strange.
yeah, it's like, whatever.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Options.
yeah, I suppose it's the sense of irony, but I don't.
May I ask you why you locked yourself in your cabin with a gun? Well, good question,
That's a
Devin.
good question, Devin, yeah.
I hope you were not trying to... I'm not suicidal. Oh, ooh, angry face.
That's good.
It's just not fair, Devin.
I like the drama you bring to this. Yeah, very good.
I know the Merchant Navy handbook from cover to cover. It says clearly that every officer is allowed to bear arms.
That's true. We read that.
Every officer, Devin. You know what my dad would say now?
No.
Life isn't fair.
Maybe that will be one of the answers.
I'm an officer, so why don't I get to exercise my rights aboard the Herald?
I really like the expressions on his face, but I find it kind of hard to follow the dialogue and
At the
his
same
facial
time.
expression.
Yeah, well, you've got plenty of time
You've
to
got
look at
plenty, yeah.
both, so that's.
Yeah. Yeah,
It is.
but
The
can
expressions
be-
are really well done. For me, it's the
Yeah.
second
No,
playthrough, and I have to say this is really. I can really focus on the face now, and it's really really nice.
What you gonna do?
So let's investigate.
So this is really the crux of this little interaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the
Trying to
Why
find
has the captain banned guns? I wonder why. Maybe he doesn't trust his officers.
Supposedly something about old and outdated policies.
That doesn't seem right.
But honestly, Devin, I don't really care about the gun.
Okay, then give it back.
I just want the captain to know that if Brunswick gives up his rights, it doesn't automatically mean that I'll give up mine as well. For some reason, I'm always expected to do as the white man does. I'm never trusted to make my own decisions. Huh.
Feels like he's an officer in nothing but name.
Ooh.
Well, you can make a friend or an enemy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the question is, like, ultimately, a captain does have all the power on the ship. I mean, this is later
Well,
on
this
in
is
history
of course really
when
one of the.
you have the handbook, but to what extent does the handbook really matter, right?
It's more like regulations anyway. What's the pirate code again in Pirates of the Caribbean? It's more like a sort of guidelines. Well, that really is. I think that's really sort of what you can decide there for yourself. How much power are you willing to give to your
So-
captain?
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I think I'm gonna tell him to hide the gun, because he doesn't. If he ever gets the idea of taking over the ship or something, the gun, then
He can do it.
You can do it, yeah.
Well, I don't really want to be against him.
Right.
And while the gun is hidden, I have nothing to lose because the gun is hidden, so nobody knows.
But why would you pick that rather than for him to return the gun?
Because then,
You might turn against him.
yeah.
Yeah, but now the gun is gonna remain missing, so it's gonna be this constant source of conflict on board the vessel. And who are they going to mistrust first?
And you're the one who's officially sort of
Looking for it.
officially looking for it. So you're also failing yourself. If
I'm failing myself, I'm failing the captain.
you're failing the captain, you know, and as a PhD, you know that you don't want to fail your superiors. That's very dangerous.
I'm definitely not going to threaten him because
Okay.
that doesn't sound smart to do.
Yeah, you're not threatening him. You're simply reporting.
Yeah, which.
Well, I
No,
don't
what
know.
are you gonna do?
If you're a straight
Just
shooter, this
Tell
may
him,
be the
tell
thing.
him to hide it. If he doesn't want to do it, then you can tell him. Then he needs to return it or something.
Yeah, but
like
what
that.
if he gets caught?
His problem, not yours.
Well, and then he
Yeah,
rats
if
on
he-
you.
If he gets caught, then I suppose I cannot be blamed. He had hidden it too well, you know.
Okay.
So I'll tell him to hide the gun and see how it goes.
Hide it and don't tell anybody about what happened tonight. I'll keep your secret if you keep mine, but remember that you owe me one whenever I need your help.
He looks happy.
+1 to Devon. That gun might come in handy one day. Ooh.
He's got the same idea as you did.
Uh-huh.
Whoops!
Oops.
God damn it!
Whoops!
Yeah, trying to hide something.
Plot twist.
So now the captain shows up and you're in trouble.
Is that the captain?
No, it's not.
That's
Yes,
the captain.
that's the
Yeah.
captain.
That is the
Yes.
Oh,
captain.
it's the captain. Oh, you know it. You know this.
But his name is at the bottom of the letter. That's about
Oh,
the
true,
whole
true,
captain.
true. Yeah, you have a
Shoot him! Mutiny!
Yeah,
Shoot him! Shoot him with the gun!
All right.
Oh, that was the
That was
cliffhanger.
the cliffhanger of the demo.
Oh man, that seems to have worked against you. That little ploy at the end.
As you can see, Protectorate is like Western Europe, like completely Europe basically,
Yeah.
and Eastern colonies is the East.
wow.
The East Indies.
Mhm.
Yeah. Very nice.
South Asia.
So there's something missing
Hmm.
there. A gun, perhaps.
A gun, perhaps.
Or a gun-shaped camera.
Yes. Turn on the music because we wanna.
Now we should be getting any feedback.
Why regret my choice? Then you can do it without it. Why regret boarding the Herald? It's close to you. Oh.
Very nice.
Eh?
So that last shot, that is really very theatric. Right? It is really like a little scene there. Is that also going to be on board the Herald? That little shot? Because that was one of the bits I like. And the end, sort of wistfully looking over the horizon. I thought that was a very.
It's the shot that is actually the room you see here as
Yeah.
well. That is not on board the Herald, but that is where the story is being told.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And these two parts or two locations. You will switch in the game during the game. You will switch between these two locations from time to time, and they will affect each other. So
Okay,
what you've
yeah.
just
What you
played
do,
on the Herald
yeah,
will have
also affect
repercussions on.
In the future.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So now that we've seen the demo, we'll just ask you guys a few questions before we move on to the other game that we're going to play. And my first question I had was why you chose to develop a game on this topic.
Okay. Well, we decided on creating Herald actually right at the beginning where we started Wispfire. Not specifically this game, but when we founded the company in 2013, we really wanted to make a video game company that tells stories about moral decisions, like a lot of Telltale's games, for example, also do, but with a lot of historical context to take issues that are still present today, but show where they come from and place them in a time and age that it becomes more easier to understand why we have how our society looks today, like where the influences come from. And Herald specifically came from Bart's fascination with the 19th century, and my fascination with the books I read actually as an interest for this game, which is also Max Havelaar by Multatuli, and Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, and they were all books in a colonial setting, and they inspired Herald to be more about 19th century colonialism than just the 19th century in general. And well, we all had in our company some specific interest in doing a game about this topic, and that came together into what Herald is today, actually.
Okay, so how do you really think the game is relevant for today, like what you were saying before?
So we were looking at I always want work that I make so before theater during my studies, but also art that I enjoy the most. If it somehow speaks about the present day and about people and teaches me something, maybe not in the way this is how it is, but lets me explore a topic and think about it. So that's also how I want to make my own work. And I think when we started this project, we were thinking, all right, what are the issues that we really want, that are really relevant in today's world, that are really the most important ones that we think should be talked about, but maybe aren't talked about enough. And there is, of course, now very much going on about the multicultural society and religious extremism, and
of course, and when these things are talked about, they're not really talked about in an exploratory, interactive
No,
way.
they're
very much, black and white, either for or against.
Yeah, exactly. And we see that in society, and it worries us as well that you have people saying, no, we should ban all foreigners or whatever. The keeps coming back every time. We just make our own little island and keep everyone else out. While we were working on this, we were already working on this game, but then the Black Pete discussion flared up as well. So that was very clear to us, right, this is something that needs to be talked about right now.
Well, I for one of the reasons why I really wanted to do Herald and why I think this is still relevant today is because even in Dutch society, when you are from a different cultural background and you have a different set of attributes to who you are, I guess, we are very easily say to them, oh, you have to adapt to us and then we're fine with you. You can be part of Dutch society as long as you adapt. But just adapting is not something you do like 1, 2, 3 and now I'm adapted. So
there's sometimes tough decisions to, just like we saying in the demo right here.
And that's specifically where Devin's story is about, that it's not just just adapting isn't something you do from one day to another. It's a process you have to go through, and some people feel they have to sacrifice something of their own personalities to become part of the society that they have to go to, because if you were born here, it's not easily just if you're Moroccan or if you're Turkish or if you're, I don't know, German even. If it's not as easy as just going to the country where you were born and then it'll all be fixed, because most of the time it's not even possible. So because that's such an important issue and we live in such a multicultural society today, I really wanted to make an experience in which people can decide for themselves and see how difficult it is to adapt to the society that they want to be part of.
I think it's very relevant also for the type of work that we're doing in the Caribbean, which is of course is also a very still very colonial, trying to be post-colonial types of societies, and you can see maybe not even on individual levels, but even on societal levels, the struggle going on. What do I include of my past? What do I want to depart from? So in reality,
Who has the right to destroy the past?
exactly. So in that sense, it's also very relevant for outside of the Netherlands. I'm sure that's also what lots of the attention internationally has sort of focused on this key issue.
This topic, yes.
Does the game also go into, for instance, the abolition of slavery, which was of course happening during this century?
It's a really interesting subject in that I find that many people in the Netherlands don't know much about the abolition of slavery, and when I say that, when I talk about it, I get a response. Yeah, but the Netherlands was like one of the first countries to abolish slavery. Who told you that? It's like, So there's stuff that people just don't realize. The protectorate in this case, can I actually tell that, or is that?
Well, it's interesting.
Secret
Spoilers. It's not a secret. The protectorate in general already has abolished slavery, but there is another force in this world that still has slavery. Although it's not something that's present in the game, but it exists in the world. So it's still a topic, a very hot topic actually on board of the Herald. Like, how do we deal with people who are not slaves anymore, and how do they assimilate in our protectorate society? And that's what makes it hard, because you have this sudden power shift, and now people like Devin are part of protectorian society as equal, so to say, but there's still a hierarchy, and they're still valued as less. Even though they say that's not.
So how do they even, if it's possible to go into it, of course you don't want to spoil too much, how is it even possible they are becoming part of this society? So why, it's, in a sense it's already quite, sophisticated type of colonial society, as you saw arise during the 19th century, but also really during the early 20th century.
Yeah.
So how does it? Why are there even officers that are of mixed descent?
Well, that is the journey that the protectorate is going through at this point. Is one of there are strong progressive forces in protectorate society.
Okay.
That was how we know that. Yeah. All right. I just have to be careful not to
Of
spoil
course you don't.
stuff.
No. We still want to play the game.
But the Tabitha Vizi is also on board Herald. She is the first, I think, lady who has gone to college. She's the first, one of the first people in the world, or first ladies in the world who's gone to a college. Right. There is a feminist force in the protectorate trying to push for liberation and all that. Slavery has been abolished, so there is certainly a progressive force within the protectorate. But there is also a reactionary force, and there is, of course, even the progressives within this empire are still raised in a time where they think there's a time of scientific racism. Basically, they have been taught that they are superior to everyone else. So even with the progressive, the question is: are they progressive enough for the people who are living under the rule of the protectorate, who are not part of the protectorate's power structure?
And make no mistake, Ludlow is an exception to the rule.
Yeah, definitely.
He is an officer, but it is something he has worked really, really hard for to become. And now he has those, the privilege of being an officer. He wants everything that goes with an officer. So the gun issue is something that's really important to him. While the captain might be just like, these are my rules, this is my ship. Everyone has to listen to me. I don't care whether Brunswick agrees with me. If he didn't, I done it anyway. So that's what makes it hard for him.
But at the same time, you can also twist the reasoning around and be like, if he's worked so hard to get in this sort of exceptional position, why do anything to risk it, right? When you've
why not just giving that little bit more of that?
But then you go back the other way, like once you start giving in, then where does it end? So I wanted to ask, what do you want players to either feel, think, do, change after they've played Herald?
One of the most important things I want people to feel when they play Herald, or at least I want people to think about the issues first. I don't want people to be completely immersed and go entirely with the story and not in an intellectual level think about the subject that's actually discussed. Because sometimes games take you in the story and then you just do it and it's like, wow, emotional adventure, and then it's over. We want people to have played Herald, have that adventure, but after that think like, what does this mean for my life? What does this mean for how I treat the people that I treat every day? And can I be a little bit more aware of how difficult it must be to not be a white, straight person in Dutch society, for example. And it's not that I want people to feel sorry for them or anything, but just think about it. Like, what would it be? How different would my life be if I would be in the position of Devin? And that's just it. Just think about it and be aware of it. Nothing more, I guess.
Okay, cool. Do we want to move on to the next game?
Any questions in the chat?
At the moment, not yet. What we can do, I mean, the good thing about colonization is it's a turn-based game, so I can start playing, and you can just come and talk a bit more, or you can. We do have a question.
Yes.
Alright.
So it says, will the game have a specific moral? Will there be situations where the player needs to decide between making a tough right choice or an easy wrong choice? In other words, will there be moral traps in the game?
Moral traps. Well, that's an interesting question. There will it will always be that the game's characters will judge you on the moral choices you make, and sometimes what seems to be the best option turns out to be something completely the opposite side, and that's because there is a thing in life in general that you cannot you cannot know what will happen always.
No.
You make a decision, but the outcome you can predict that. So there will be some things that are up for chance that might go wrong, even though you thought that it would be a good idea.
Okay.
But it's
that's risky. I like that.
But it's also I think it's if everything, like every single thing, is completely predictable, then there's nothing interesting about the story anymore.
Yeah, you lose the
because that's not how life works.
No.
I mean, we have the best intentions and something can be completely messed up because we have not enough information. But it'll always be honest. Like the game will always show you why this happened.
Yeah.
That's of course very important. Otherwise, you have lots of people that are going to be bummed out by a choice they didn't want to make.
Yeah, well, it is. I think we talked about this. For us, the difficulty is not in winning the game. So that's sort of in video games it's usually alright. If you play well, then you win.
Yeah.
We want the difficulty to be in deciding how you want the story to go. How do I treat these other characters? How do I react to the situation? So it's not I don't think it's necessary for us even to make it possible for you to lose the game.
No.
I don't think you can lose the game. For what we've written so far, you can't in any way lose. But still, the challenge is, how do I want my story to go? How do I...
That reminds me, we were talking about it in the car when I was picking you up, but that reminds me a lot of Torment Planescape.
Yeah.
Where there's no way you can actually, the protagonist cannot die really, he's just there all the time, and it's really where you answer those really important questions about, well, in the end, what is also because you're playing a role, but what you are as a person. Really nice.